With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hello and welcome this time to Summit Point in West Virginia. Dylan Coyle alongside Derek Watson bringing you the action from some Formula D and Formula C, and it's going to be quite the night. They practiced in almost complete darkness, but we're racing under the light of the day at this very quick, very windy and sweeping kind of track that is the perfect place for these cars. Derek, I know you asked if any of the drivers could describe Summit Point in these cars in one word, what would they say? You got one answer, and it was Kermit the Frog going wild, and I think that's very succinct.
Yeah, that is pretty succinct, right, to have that kind of track lane. I think this is really the perfect track for these kind of cars. We've seen a lot of variable tracks on the schedule this season, Dylan. In fact, let's look at the schedule. Remember, we started off early rounds, Hungaroring, Zandvoort, and then we went to some bigger tracks like the Watkins Glen, Spa, and Nürburgring. But now we're back to a smaller track that's really going to benefit these type of cars here at Summit Point. And then, of course, we'll finish up next week here at Silverstone on the GP layouts. So it's been a really interesting week, Dylan, and I think we're going to talk about our sponsors and then talk about some points, I think.
Absolutely, let's do it. Advanced Sim Racing is owned and operated by passionate sim racers. It builds and designs the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using Precision5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seats. Muradness. It's a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit muradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography allows you to capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And finally, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast. Fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. I could use Advanced Motorsports, and, well, let's see who might not need or might need Advanced Motorsports in this race today. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about point. And the point situation right now, it's looking like it's not completely finished yet, but the bell is ringing. Andrew Moran has a 26-point lead over Jake Vasconcelos after 8 rounds. Of course, we head into round 9 tonight. Round 10 in a couple weeks' time. That's going to be the no drop week kind of week. Round 10, you never can drop it. So I like that rule, and it also gives us some clarity going into the final race of the season. Behind Vasconcelos, though, is an 8-point difference between he and Jake Faulkner, who only has a 12-point lead on Michael Diaz. So second, third, fourth, it's all to play for. I just think Andrew Moran, he's just got to almost ride in the top 10, and he almost, certifies himself as champion with a position like that.
Yeah, very true. And in fact, we already know Jake Faulkner will score 38 points tonight. He will use his drop week. He is currently off at a wedding, celebrating with friends, so he is not racing. So that spot for P3 is up for grabs for other drivers, Michael Diaz, maybe even Tristan Callahan, to get up there and compete for it. We'll find out. But qualifying is currently underway. We got about 5-ish minutes left here. We're kind of watching some cars go around the track here. Let's take a look. There's your grid. Currently, Andrew Moran, no surprise, Dylan, has dominated the season and is currently ahead of qualifying. But look how thin of a margin it is here to the cars behind him.
Absolutely, it is a very thin margin with a substantial amount of time left in this qualifying session. Moran, we said, just needs to stick in that top 10. Well, I don't think he is necessarily worrying about that, as he is going for it all, getting right now the provisional pole in that 99 machine. Let's right on board real quick, Derek. I know you enjoy doing that with a lot of drivers here. What is so difficult or special about Summit Point, especially in these Formula 4 cars and Formula D?
Well, the biggest thing that's difficult, and you can watch the hands here of Andrew Moran, is just how bumpy this track is. It looks simple, and it's, overall a pretty simple 10-turn course, but look at how bumpy, how much up and down this camera's going. That's not any special effect. That's how bumpy it is. And look at the bumps kind of throwing Andrew around here as he's trailing behind another car here. These bumps can throw you offline, and as we know in the F4 cars, they prefer stability. You can loop one of these around pretty easily.
Yeah, it's very easy to do that. This is a 10-corner course, but I feel like some of the corners are potentially up for debate. That one for sure not. Neither is this one. This is turn 5, but then we've got the carousel, turn 6. This weird little kink right here is technically turn 7, and then this is turn 8. We're going around here, and this is turn 9, this right-hand corner, and then it's just turn 10, which you can take at a pretty high rate of speed, but it is you got to be careful you're not scrubbing off too much speed or getting in too deep here.
No, that's very true. And in fact, now as you watch Moran here, they'll start that run down this 2,900-foot long straightaway. One of the longest straightaways I could think of on a course of this nature. So you'll see a bunch of passing opportunities between turn 9 and turn 1. They're going to come into one right here. You see Moran and his Yeez Motorsports teammates are swapping positions here. They're going to come around again. And now we'll start another lap around. But with about 2.5 minutes left here, Moran actually increased that lead a little bit, by the way, that lap. He's now 0.114 over Kevin McPherson. McPherson back this week. He's missed 2 out of the last 3 weeks and really threw himself out of point contention because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like as we see these 3 teammates still working around for YS Motorsports, I mean, Vasconcelos, of course, is a YS Motorsports driver, and he's in second in the championship standings. But when you got a driver like Michael Dowden currently running P3 in qualifying, that is also a little bit further down in the in the points board. But I think that's also partially due because he's had 1 DNF and 2 DNSs did not start. So those are 3 races where he just did not get really any points, and if he does get points in those, I think we're talking about maybe a Michael Dowden kind of year, because his other results were pretty respectable. Maybe good for top 4, definitely top 5.
You know what? I need to correct myself on what I said a second ago. I had the wrong Jake in my story, and I need to go back and do a mea culpa. It's Vasconcelos, sorry, who's not racing, not Faulkner. I had the stories mixed up in my head. It's Vasconcelos who's not racing tonight. That's the driver up in P2 who's not racing tonight. So that will mean he's going to score a 45. Faulkner's on the grid. I got confused for a second. So Vasconcelos will score a 45 tonight. That'll be his drop week. That's a good drop week to have. The problem is it's probably going to make it harder and harder to close, or to not let Andrew Moran keep that gap moving.
You almost want to, as look at that, Dowd kind of getting some help right there from his teammate. Got the slipstream, but did not impact him going into the corner. We'll see how that plays out once he crosses the line, and looks like timing-wise, not much. Oh, yeah, that changed things. He went to the pole. So how about that? That was some smart teamwork right there.
Yeah, you know what? Smart teamwork, but kind of come back full circle in the story. If Jacob Vasconcelos is out there and watching this race on YouTube with us live, he's stoked because that's one less bonus point currently that Andrew Moran will score. And Vasconcelos, in order to keep a reasonable gap in 2 weeks at our final race, needs Moran not to have a dominant night. But now we're going to watch Tristan Callahan here. This is a driver who's really kind of creeped his way into the points, currently P5 in the points, really capable of probably up to a P3 with a couple of good runs. Callahan's one of our VR drivers. In fact, we could probably get an onboard with him here and to see his webcam here as he turns his last lap here. Well, man, that got loose, it looked like. But there's Tristan, got the big race sponsor behind him. And there you go, turning in that lap. That'll probably be his last run there.
Yeah, and Callahan, I think we were trying to decide and decipher what VR had said he's got. I don't think we ever got an answer because it's got that, that Rift-esque kind of headband, but also it's shiny in front. It's the never-ending curse,
Yeah, it might be a valve index.
And it looks... I don't think it's a valve index because the valve index is a little squarer, a little more rectangular.
Well, I will do some investigative reporting post-race, and we'll get an answer to this.
Okay, well, I appreciate your investigative journalism there because it is the hard-hitting question of my time, at least. But Frankie Arvello, currently 5th, is going to come out of turn 10, and we'll see what he gets as he crosses the line. Yeah, that's a good jump up to P4. That's about 1100 he jumped up there, just over a 10th. So most of everyone, if not everyone, is finished qualifying. And next up, we'll figure out the grid. And there's that grid. The New Jersey driver, Michael Dowden, will for now outlast the Ohio native of Andrew Moran and Kevin McPherson. They're all teammates. They're all starting in the top 3. They work together during qualifying. But Frankie Arvello is going to be starting alongside McPherson in row 2. Jake Faulkner is going to be in 5th with Tristan Callahan in P6. We keep moving down the order exactly. There we go. Clay Harris and Sean DeHamel, excuse me, in the top 8 with J.
All right. So let's take over here
and Dave Peterson there.
All right. Start back at P13 here when the screen turns over. We'll move the rest of qualifying here. That's going to be Brandon Walter in 13th with Donald Olson in 14th. Barry Cochran and Christopher Perez, 15 and 16. And then Brian Hotham from Florida native is P17 on that track. That is the last person to take time. And the only one out here is David Hebert. P18 did not take a time, so not on the graphic. But we are now in the process of gridding here. And Dylan Coyle, are you live? He's changing. All right. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. All right. We'll are about to be ready to go there on grid. You see my out. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, here we go. And lights on the pace car are about to be out. All right. Dylan, you can take over and call the start.
Well, I'm here. Y'all can hear me. I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
Yep.
Nonetheless, we're about to get ready for this Formula D affair at Summit Point.
All right. All right, so here we go. Now we are live here. Green flag. Michael Dowden out in the lead and doing pretty well. Guarding in front of Andrew Moran and Kevin McPherson. They are single file down through turn number 3, heading to turn number 4. We talked about some of these corners in practice and qualifying and how some of them are not the sharpest of corners. And now down through turn 5 and 6, down to the carousel. Dylan talked about the carousel earlier being a big, wide corner. We'll talk about how it's changed later. But now already a pretty much single file all the way through as you look back in the field with that wide camera shot. Single file down to the first lap. All is calm and cool. Remember, this is a 35-minute race here for the PRL Formula D Series. Now down to the final corner, turn 10. Oh, we got someone off track in the back there. That's going to be Frankie Arvello. Let's see him in the back of your shot there. But right now, it is Dowden, Moran, and McPherson. 1, 2, 3 after lap number 1. Well done on a pretty calm first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty calm first lap and pretty great.
Right, so here we go now into the middle of lap 2. Sorry for little audio problems here. And we're now going to, oh, there is someone, that's Dave Peterson in the back. We'll catch a replay of him in a moment. There's Brian Hotham as well on the screen. Sorry, I had the wrong name there. There's Peterson. Thought he was around as well. So both of them, I'm not sure if that's connected or not. We'll wait for the replay and see here. But right now you see your Yeez Motorsports 1, 2, and 3, a pretty common thing we're seeing all season long here. And right now they are doing it here at the Formula D Series. Look at that. McPherson, though, pulled out briefly. Not sure if he was just trying to test it out or see what he could figure out later for the race, but he pulled out and then pulled right back in line here. Now you look back through the field. The big sweeping shot over turn number 2 with that big wide camera. Here's a replay of what happened earlier. This is going to be, oh, they're connected. That's Peterson on the outside. Oh, Hotham just got loose and tagged the back of the car. At first, it's just Hotham, though. Did he do damage to Peterson that caused Peterson to get off separately? I'm not sure, because Peterson will be up on the right after that replay there in the grass. Here's Peterson. Let's see what happens to him. Does he get out? Yep. I think they lost the wing there and just had a hard time holding the downforce of the car. And it sort of looped itself around. So both those drivers will need to go get some repairs done on pit road. And we'll take a look and see if they are going to come back out or if they're just going to call it a day. Speaking of a day, it's been a great day so far for Yeez Motorsports 1, 2, and 3. But right now, the real battle I see going on the track, we're a little bit behind it to 4th and 5th. If we look at Faulkner and Callahan, this is the tight battle right now. Now, they're just behind the leaders, but they are battling themselves here. That's Faulkner in the blue. Oh, hold on. Big pass right there on the inside. That's Frankie Arvello there involved in that battle. And Jason Arensberg. Whoa. Who was that? I don't know who. That's Barry Cochran. Oh, he had to. Got in there so hot, he had to light up the brakes, and you saw the back end start to come around on him. Oof. Wanted to make the pass and just didn't have the space to do so. Already fast and furious action happening. 5 minutes gone here in this Formula D race. This is Brandon Walter and Brett Accord here back in P11 and P12. And now we're being told that Olson's off track. We'll take a look at that in a moment and see what is going on there. You know, when I talked to Brandon Walter earlier today, he told me the track is really fun and bumpy. Said this would be a challenge, despite how easy it looked. And as we saw during that on board with Andrew Miranda in qualifying, you see it is bumpy. But this is a great battle going on back here for 11th, 12th, and 13th there. This will be Olsen, going to be off track and trying to save it. And does he? I think he does. Yeah, that's a good rejoin. And if you're Olsen, you're not happy to be off track, but that's a high quality save right there. This should go in a driver's lessons video somewhere. That's Cochran again lighting it up. Man, he is on these corners hard. But now we're up to a battle here. This is going to be 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is, McPherson, Faulkner, and Callahan. And they are battling hard here. McPherson's falling a little bit off the leaders. Not much, though. You can see the gap there. But, man, Faulkner and Callahan are all over him here as now they're up through turns out of the carousel here. And doing pretty well. This will come down the first of the 2 straightaways. Down through turn 9, down onto that 2,900 foot, or about 880 meters, depending upon your measurement preference. Will be where those cars are headed now. Down into turn number 1 to complete another lap. This will be the beginning of lap number 6 they are working here. With less than 30 minutes, almost less than 29 minutes to go. And waiting to see how it's going to pan out. There's a nice side-by-side battle here. This is back in Arvello, Harris, and I believe that's Jason Arensberg in the back of that there. As they're going now. We take a look at that. We'll see what action is going on around the track as well as they just pushed. Wow, they just pushed that Clay Harris off the track. I think they just pushed there and pushed him back there. Or is that Austin Harris? I get the two paints mixed up sometimes, but we'll keep on it here. I think I'm being told we're going to have a crash replay in just a second to catch up on. It's going to get on the brakes a little hard here and spin it around. And luckily for him, that's Sean Dumel, but luckily for Sean, pretty empty track there, so no damage done. All right, 1 second. All right, well, I do want to thank you so much for hanging out here tonight on RaceSpotTV for Precision Racing League Formula D action. You know, if you think this sounds fun to you and it looks fun, sign-ups are currently open to come do this next season. You can head over to the Precision Racing League website, and you can sign up to be part of this next season. This is the battle for P10 right here. This is Brett Accord and Brandon Walter still going at it. I believe they have had a pass since the last time we went back here. Last time by, I believe, it was Walter leading Accord. But now that is different here as we head through the corners here. This is a track located in West Virginia here in the east coast of the United States. A track not used by a lot of racing organizations due to its size and... Hold on. Man, that was maybe not contact. It wasn't. It was locked up brakes. I couldn't tell from that camera angle, but that looked tight right there. When not being used for racing, a fun fact about this track is used by different federal law enforcement agencies for driving and for driving standards and car chases because of the layout of the track and its location being friendly to some of the headquarters. So when not used for racing, this track is used for other good purposes. All right, let's go back here to 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is McPherson, Faulkner, and Callahan again. All right, a nice, clean battle here going on so far, but wow. McPherson pushed a little bit to the left there, and I thought there was going to be contact. Dylan Coyle, are you alive?
Hey, I'm thinking I am.
I think I hear you.
Oh, we love it. We love it. Yeah, we love good old Spectrum Community Wi-Fi, which, ooh, anyone got $90 a month to help me get out of that? Nonetheless, thanks for holding this really strongly, Derek. I appreciate that. Solo effort there.
Yeah, it's fun to do sometimes. Get out there and call it solo and get to focus on the racing and whatnot. But look, speaking of the racing here, look at this battle. They've moved McPherson back into 4th, Dylan. And now Faulkner and Callahan are trying to draft on the outside here and will have the advantage in this corner. and they're going to try to put McPherson all the way back to P5 here, and maybe for one of the first times this season, start to separate the powerhouse that is Yeez Motorsports.
Yeah, this is a pretty impressive battle going on right here with McPherson really within the clutches of Tristan Callahan. I can definitely see this move being done relatively soon, but jumping over the curbs and unsettling the car unless you get it locked down pretty easily. I mean, I don't know if that's going to help out. It's right there, though. It's kind of a sandwich between Callahan and Faulkner with McPherson in the middle.
Of course, speaking of Yeez Motorsports, you can tell on the ticker on the left side of your screen off camera that Dowden and Moran are still a little bit ahead of these drivers, but right now this battle is maybe the closest one on the track as we go back through the field here. And these three drivers all looking for an advantage here. You know, one of the downsides to a racetrack like this, Dylan, is that with these long straightaways, it doesn't provide a lot of places to outbrake somebody. You've really got to set up a long draft to try to make something happen here. You can't just outbrake someone like you can at Watkins Glen or Spa or one of the windier racetracks.
Oh, that was a dangerous looking maneuver. Clay Harris making the move. I don't know if I'd say that's making it stick, but he certainly just forced it in there on Frankie Arvello in turn one. Arvello is going to be chasing after Harris, but we rejoin the battle for P3. You're absolutely right, Derek. It is the kind of track where you've got to use each corner to set up your next set of passes, right? Where sometimes it might take one whole lap to get a move done, and all of a sudden you lose it just because you outbrake yourself. So it's very important, especially in this run down to turn 1 or turn 10, to make sure you stay within that draft zone, especially coming out of turn 10, because look at this.
Yeah, especially, you know, not to belittle what these cars can do, they kind of remind me of when you go-karting a little bit, Dylan. Before we come back to that point, let's take a look here in the back of the field. I think Brandon Walter has been involved in an incident. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. Callahan now deep inside McPherson there, and now going to come through. This is Brandon Walter here. Oh, they both.
Looked like...
those guys have been battling for a little bit here, pretty hard like that, so they both locked the brakes up.
Yeah, it seemed like both definitely locked the brakes up, but maybe the one in behind more so. But that's unfortunate for all. Here's a pass attempt trying to get his position back was Kevin McPherson, but if he just went on the brakes, even just a millisecond later, I think he would have been right into the rear wheels of Tristan Callahan, who was starting to just pull away a little bit. This is Austin Harris in the 21 machine. He had an adventure off into the grass, and oh, that's an interesting way to try and block.
That's a line, isn't it? That's a
yeah. Well,
you know,
Michael Dowden. Oh, I'm so sorry, Derek. I was gonna say Dowden is getting caught by Andrew Moran right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we'll wait and keep an eye on that. I was gonna say, you know, coming back a minute to that issue with Brett Accord and Walter, we saw. They're a year early. That was like synchronized swimming right there. If those guys were a year later for the Olympics, they could have got like at least a 7 or 8 judges for that.
I like that. I really like that. You know, I'm more of a Winter Olympics kind of guy. I know that is a weird, you know, most people are all summer Olympics.
I was going to say that's a hot take, but it's the Winter Olympics. So
it is a cold take.
Yeah, it's a cold take.
It's a chilly take. Well, I'm a big hockey guy, so...
there you go.
You know, that you just give me hockey in a international kind of game, and you got me rooting for those Olympics more than the Summer Olympics. However, I really like what it looks like for 2020 in Los Angeles. That's neither here nor there. I want to see the Olympics in West Virginia at Summit Point.
Yeah, that would be interesting, you know. And while we don't exactly have an international flair in this race tonight for the Formula D series, we definitely have a coast-to-coast flair across the United States. You know, run through it a little bit here. We got Michael Dowden, your leader, by the way, who made is still up in the lead. Pardon me. He's from New Jersey. You got Andrew Moran, who's in Ohio. Let's see, what do we got? We got Northwest. We got Brandon Walter up in the Pacific Northwest. You know, the Mid-South, Clay Harris, Barry Cochran from the Plains. So we have a coast-to-coast flair, our own little U.S. Olympics here in the Formula D series.
For sure, it's no A1 GP though, you know. And that's okay. We'll have to live with that being the case. But nonetheless, this is some good battling right here. Summit Point, it is unfortunate that there's so few drivers in this field tonight. But nonetheless, Sean DeHamel and Austin Harris are showing that, hey, it doesn't really matter if you don't have that many, as long as you've got battles going on and some evenly matched drivers and cars. I will say, I didn't see Austin Harris in this race. I wonder if he's camouflaged. Look at this, Dowden, Andrew Moran, side by side. Andrew Moran makes the move look easy. Dowden going to try to recapture that spot. Swings out wide, but I don't think there's much doing there. That's a clean pass for the lead.
That is a very clean pass to lead. You know what? With 19 and a half minutes left in this race, oh, there's a car off on the side there. Was that either Cochran or Accord? I couldn't tell which one. We'll have to take a look and see. I thought I saw just a glimpse of that paint scheme, and I was trying to judge based on that. That's Perez off on the track. I apologize. I had the wrong name completely, apparently. That was Christopher Perez. You see back in the P18 on your scoring pylon. It was turned around there and smoking a little bit.
Here's a replay, it looks like. Yeah, we'll see exactly what happens. Just going through some of these fast left and right-handers, and oh my goodness! That is Race Ender right there. That was...
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of a mark. If iRacing had tire wall physics, I think we would have seen a red flag for that.
Yeah, I definitely would have, right? Well, let's come back here. This is who I thought it was. I apologize. Barry Cochran here, back in the middle of a battle at P9, 10, and 11. This is Brandon Walter, who, by the way, these guys both spun that car around earlier and are still racing together, and now they've brought David Hebert into that battle.
Yeah, definitely bringing David Hebert into this, and look at that. There's going to be a potential move from Barry Cochran down the inside. Had the slipstream, is still side by side, heavy on the braking, but the last of the late breakers is the 711 machine. I don't know. I'm feeling a Slurpee.
Yeah, from the 7-Eleven, I got that one. That's an American joke. That's an American joke right there. If you're not in the United States, you're like, what's he talking about? Yeah, don't worry about that. That's an interesting joke. Well, as we're about halfway through, Dylan, it's time to bring up that magical phrase we bring up every week, pit stops, and how they will matter and who benefits and doesn't benefit. We're about at the halfway point, so you think pit road's open any moment now for drivers such as Andrew Moran and Michael Dowden to make those moves. I'm suspecting they will not come in together. Now, this battle right here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, these guys, oh, sorry, this is not 3rd, this is way back. This is Cochran, Walter. That's 9, 10, and 11, pardon me. These guys will not pit together. Whoever doesn't pit with them will probably get the clean air and be happy about it.
I just need to go with this, revision of history, because there's 84,000 7-Eleven locations in the world, over 19 countries. So, here's a wiggle. Doesn't like our 7-Eleven talk right there. And Barry Cochran is still getting some footage as Brandon Walter is just in behind, had to be in the outside there. There's Clay Harris, who went off, and maybe no contact. He keeps it moving. He was just in front of this 9, 10, 11 battle that has turned into 9, 10, 11, 12. So good battle here for 2 spots inside the top 10 and 2 spots outside of it as well. I know where I'd rather be, inside the top 10. Moran Dowden, very close. They're side by side. How about this? Big pass for the lead. There must have been an issue there from Moran, because he lost easily 3 or 4 tenths through that corner.
Yeah, not sure if he let him go by in order to keep this idea of drafting and fuel saving going on, or if he just got caught. We were watching the battle there back in the track, but right now here they are, Dowden 1, Moran 2, and we're already pit stops have begun. That's Donald Olson on pit road. You see it on your scoring pylon on the left side of your screen. And right now, look at that. Dowden's starting to put a little bit of a gap here on Andrew Moran. I feel like that's a bigger gap than what we've seen before. And now that is Jake Faulkner right there in the background of the shots, trying to catch up here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Faulkner is closing in just a tad, but with Tristan Callahan right there as well, there's not much he can do. We look back to that battle happening in this top 10 kind of fight with Cochran, Walter, Duhamel, and Hebert. And this is fun. These four cars are going all out, and Kevin McPherson has made his way into pit lane. So wonder if he's going to be the first of many that come right now.
Yeah, it looks like he was already there and left, so we'll wait and see how that pans out. There he is in the back of your shot, actually. And here's a nice pass going on here. This is going to be Hebert trying to make the pass here on the inside of that corner. And does, I believe. Yep, they're going to complete it and slide up in front and close the door there. And that'll be a successful pass there by Hebert. That will give him P11 over Sean Duhamel.
Yeah, and that's a good, solid move right there. But now he's got to keep up that pace if he wants to catch up to the top 10, because they definitely lost some speed, lost some seconds off of that battle as we go into the slowest part of this Summit Point track. Of course, you've got turn 1, but nothing is slower than when you have to go through here in this carousel. But Ahrensburg has headed into pit lane, so I think it's just a matter of time now. Do you think the next 1 or 2 laps you'll see pretty much everyone? Because, I mean, there is something to be said. We've seen the overcut definitely help in some races, but not always.
No, definitely not always. It doesn't always pay off here. And now we're going to see here as we got cars chasing down our leaders. This is Faulkner and Callahan here. That's still a 2-second-ish gap back from the leader. So not going to happen probably before pit stops happen. We'll wait and see if it is this time. It's still down to 1, Moran 2 here as they come down the back straight. Now on this track, pit road entrance will be after this corner, or it's actually right there into the corner, I should say. So obviously they didn't go that time.
Yeah, this pit road or pit lane, as we say in open wheel and Formula Racing, it's a different challenge than you're necessarily used to across most bits of motorsport. I mean, yeah, there's some that don't, go in at the same spot, the same distance as other tracks, but here with the want to just keep moving, because you lose so much time when you have to slow down that much, taking that final corner. So it is good that it's the great equalizer going down pit lane, but I mean, you got to pick your spot, right? And Moran is now falling back a few more tenths. Does he maybe think, you know what? It might be the time to try the overcut.
It might be, and going back to that topic about the pit road entrance, what it reminds me of in a certain weird way, it reminds me of that Road Atlanta pit road entrance. It kind of dips off quickly to the side. You want to carry a lot of speed through it. And so that's what it reminds me of every time I see it. It's just kind of that pit entrance at Road Atlanta. But they're both going to pass by it again. And so will both Faulkner and Callahan here. We're about 12 minutes left, so we're about 20-plus minutes into this race here. And we're watching these cars come around. Now, this is going to be down to turn number 1. Again, Dowden leads Moran. And like I said, no one's probably a bigger fan of Michael Dowden tonight than Jake Vasconcelos.
Oh, absolutely. But even then, Vasconcelos, with not being in this race, it's still going to be difficult to kind of crawl back to get anything done. Andrew Moran, a second place here, doesn't do much of anything to help Vasconcelos, as Duhamel has an issue. Oh, it's Donald Olson and Duhamel. They're teammates. The liveries are the same. The liveries are the same, excuse me. Oh, no!
That's
nope. Oh, man. I think, yes, their liveries are the same, but one might have been a little bit worse off after a potential T-bone happened. We'll get a look at what happened here. And they were running separately apart. And oh, no! One teammate went by, and then what are we doing here? He moved, and that caused the incident, and then he moved again, and it almost caused another incident. That is bad.
That is not good. That's a good way to say that. Well, this is still Moran and Dowden, or Dowden and Moran, pardon me, 1 and 2. Here's an onboard. It was a little loud, sorry about that.
Oh, man.
Oh, he decided he was moving it. And you know what? It's hard to put blame there because the wrecked car is trying to get off the track and try to get in the grass.
I disagree. I disagree because you can't move. You gotta be predictable. The worst thing you can be is unpredictable.
Sure.
As a car that's stopped. So stop. Don't move.
But
don't
that
move.
said, if I was going to try to predict where a wreck was, I'm not sure I would go through the grass to avoid it. Right? He was just trying to get off the track. He was just trying to get off the track and out of the way. And then, see, watch me here. He's gonna.
I honestly disagree with you completely.
That's okay.
That's okay. This is our James Hinchcliffe Townsend Bell moment.
Well, I'm definitely Hinchcliffe. Let's make that clear. But as we now see pit stops right here. This is gonna be Michael Dowden, Jake Faulkner in. This will be Dowden, by the way, from the lead, I should say. Already off 4.3 seconds. So as I predicted, him and Moran did not pit together. And that's Jake Faulkner behind him, who left Tristan Callahan out there running. So obviously these drivers are valuing clean air. I thought that was going to be a contact right there. But nope. So right now, clean air is the name of the game. And Dowden and Faulkner both left their draft buddies behind.
So we have news of a half spin from Tristan Callahan in turn 1, the loop. We'll grab the replay in just a moment, but we are watching Callahan try and pass Frankie Arvello right now. Here's the replay. You see those cones. It's 100 feet between each cone. He just cooked it going into the first part of the loop, and not the best place to have it done. See, that's a safe rejoin.
You know what that really could be. Hold on. I think I saw a pit stop there for Andrew Moran on the side of your screen. Now you got Frankie Arvello coming in and others on back. Let's focus on that. And I want to come back to that Callahan spin in a second. See, here's your pit stop here. And Andrew Moran's already off and away. That's Michael Dowden right there. If we can get a time on Andrew Moran, 4 seconds. So 0.3 of a second is what he gained on his teammate right there.
Yeah, Andrew Moran, 4 seconds in the box. So if we're talking about, these differences, pit in, pit out, it really matters when 0.3 is the difference, because you're trying to fill up for the end of the race, right? You're not changing tires. So just a few tenths of a difference there is potentially the difference between a couple laps extra or not in pit lane, because you don't need to fuel up as much for the end of the race. So that's where the overcut might be the better option, where, you want to run till the end, till you don't have to run anymore, and then get fuel because you don't need as much fuel. You save time in the pits. Sometimes it's not always the best option, but I think the overcut would be isn't the worst thing that we saw here. And of course, Andrew Moran 0.3 up on his teammate Michael Dowden.
Yep, so we'll see if Dowden can close that gap and make the pass again. I mean, on pit road, there's multiple factors. Obviously, as you said, it's how much gas you need. That definitely factors in, right? There's also a matter of the skill of pitting. It's not as simple as they make it look. It's how you get in there, how quickly you can stop in the box. How do you align the car? What is your total pit delta? More than just your pit box time can matter sometimes. So we'll wait and see here. Right now, Dowden is 0.3 of a second behind Andrew Moran. That is a really nice gap right there for Dowden to be able to make a pass here on a draft at some point in the next 6 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah, this is a really solid battle here. 6.5 minutes to go. We're give or take 6 laps and some change remaining here at Summit Point. We'll see with that sun starting to set in the background. We mentioned it earlier. Practice was done in full darkness, and that was certainly a very interesting thing. You and I, Derek, and of course Dustin Allis, our producer, were very worried that it would go into.
Whoa!
Wait a second. Let me finish.
All
I was
right.
going to give you your credit.
All right.
I was going to give you your credit. It's okay. We were worried at first that it would be a dark race, which would have made it interesting. But you said, Derek, that they might change it to the daytime once the session switches. Dustin and I were not thinking that. You were right. You were right. You were right.
Yeah, that's a pretty common. You know, actually, if you go into
Wow.
if you go to the Precision Racing League Discord server, you'll see that. Some of the guys like to tell me I'm right. And listen, you're welcome to say that all you want to. I think Tristan Callahan came back after the Cup race on Sunday and said I was right, and I was like, hey, you can say that all you want. I appreciate that, but yeah, it was a concern though. I was like, man, if we're gonna race at nighttime, I gotta gotta really rethink our stories, and it was gonna be a close battle. But speaking of close battles, here we are, Yeez Motorsports 1 and 2, and Andrew Moran is still leading it around here, but boy, not by much. Just one small slip up, and I think Michael Dowden is just waiting. Dylan, I think he's waiting to the last lap. I don't think he's gonna make the move beforehand, and then he's gonna make one pass and hopefully not have time to get passed back.
Well, it was a try there because of how the loop is set up, where it's turn 1 and then a very slight angle to the right, turn 2. To me, it's just all turn 1, but it changes, its angles, so it makes it into 2 turns. It does make it more difficult to get a move done on the outside because it's not 180 degrees, it's kind of like 195 degrees. What is that noise?
All right.
Did Barry Cochran just get absolutely slaughtered?
Possibly so. Let's take a look here. It's going to get beached up on the curb, I think. Watch this here.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That curbing.
And look, a pass for the lead.
Yep.
Look at that pass for the lead in the bottom right. He got it going. And so did Michael Dowden, who made the pass for the lead in turn 10. This battling between teammates is definitely allowing Faulkner to get back involved. Now a look to the outside for Andrew Moran, who was in the slipstream. They're neck and neck going into turn 1. The loop. Who's going to have the momentum out of turn 2?
Let's take a look here. By the way, I do want to mention that car you can see up ahead of them very gently in some of the cameras. That's Brian Hotham. He could play a factor here in the next 3.5-ish minutes. Way to the wide there. They're going to come up through turn 3 into turn number 4. Very slight right-hander. Now into turn 5, and we're going to start our way through the carousel here. You know, Dylan, at one point when this wasn't the carousel, these were 2 back-to-back 90-degree turns, one to the left, one to the right. And then they went back and made the carousel as the newest addition to the track because drivers hated the 2 90-degree back-to-back corners.
Well, it's always nice to listen to your drivers, and to be quite honest, I love the carousel. It's a pretty cool addition here, and it's unlike carousels we see in other tracks across the sporting world as they jump over to that runoff area over top of the apron. You can utilize that, and look at this, Andrew Moran in the slipstream once again, 6,700 revs, gets it into the outside, holds the lead for a second, swinging out to the outside as far as he can go is Michael Dowden, but Andrew Moran holding him honest. They're still side by side. This is really going to help Moran through this fast left-hand corner, side by side. They're still going at it. Jake Faulkner is under a second away from this battle.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing you were about to say, which is they're letting Faulkner back in this fight here, and that will make it a little bit more interesting. I don't know if he'll fully get up in there, but he's definitely closed up some of that time. Now we see him back single file again. That is Andrew Moran up in front now of Michael Dowden. Now they come down through turn 8. They'll make the corner here into turn 9 and have the first of 2 long straightaways. And we will be... Hold on.
No! A huge mistake, a huge accident. Andrew Moran out of the race. All of a sudden, Jake Vasconcelos is back into this championship hunt too.
Wow, what a moment that I didn't see coming. But right now... It is now a 2-way battle still, but Faulkner and Dowden.
Faulkner, Dowden, they're still fighting. They're still going at it. 1 minute and change remaining. A lap and a half to go. A look to the outside, now to the inside. They jump over the curbing here as we still move on. I cannot believe we just saw that. Battling Faulkner, Dowden, down the inside was Faulkner. Dowden trying to re-answer right up to the gearbox, couldn't do that. There are some reports that a lapped car is to blame. We'll catch it just after the checkered flag 40 seconds left to go in this barn burner of a race. That lap car got out of the way. Faulkner and Dowden still going at it. Faulkner on the outside here, coming down to turn 10, about to start the last lap. Still holding strong on the outside, not even pushed that far off. They're gonna be neck and neck with 1 lap to go here, Derek.
Yeah, they are down here for the penultimate time. They'll hit the straightaway one more time at the end, but now it's going to be Dowden with the inside run here into turn number 1. And now Faulkner's just going to try to outbreak a little bit. And now they're going to make the crossover. That's a good move.
That's a great move right there, and it's also helped that Dowden made a mistake. The time has run out. It's definitely the final lap, and there was no question about it. Faulkner edges ahead. He's in the lead. He hasn't led a single lap in this one. The only one that matters, though, is the final lap. Lap 31 we're on right now as he moves into turn 5 and then the carousel, turn 6, before we go through a few quick S's. And then the final opportunity for Michael Dowden to win this race, to make the pass, is going to be this long straightaway. They're in 9. Now it's the run down to 10 in Paddock Bend. The sun shining on this wonderful race that has turned into one of attrition. One last look down the inside. Not up to the apex was Faulkner, but Dowden is going to have one last slipstream attempt. Jake Faulkner wins it, and a great finish at Summit Point.
What an amazing finish here with these 2 cars. Great run by Jake Faulkner to take advantage of an unfortunate mishap that happens in front of him. And we'll look and see as the cars are going to finish here around. Oh, man, he's going to celebrate there. Go off the track. See if any more battles are going across the line here. I don't think there's too much here.
Beached it.
He did beach it.
Oh, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited a moment to go back, and that wreck by Andrew Moran, he has an opinion that I'll share with you as we see the replay about what he thinks happened to the car. Speaking of happened to cars, there was that Brett Accord again? Is that who? That's no, we are wings, so doing the best he can, but loop that car around. He's had a rough night all night long here, and we'll see a couple more cars come across the line here. So what they're going to do is Andrew Moran says this lapped car right here spooked him and caused him to get off line and hit the curbing. Now, I'm going to tell you,
that's not, no.
I have a lot of respect for Andrew Moran, but I don't think that lapped car, maybe the rejoin could have been cleaner, but I'm not convinced that lap car played that much of a factor.
I agree wholeheartedly. How about that, Derek? I agree completely there. We'll get another look. I mean, you're fine there. Just take the foot off the throttle. That's completely on Andrew Moran, and he's made this final race in just a couple of weeks for the Formula D title a championship fight. We'll try and get that exact number, an approximation of it. The
interesting part about this, in this weird way, we're going to assume Moran is going to use this as his drop week.
Oh, yeah.
He will gain 2 points on Vasconcelos due to their drops. He actually will gain 2 points, so it will be a big math number. I'll get it for you while Dylan goes through the result.
All right. Well, yeah, let's definitely go to this result here with Jake Faulkner, the Texan, beating the New Jersey driver of Michael Dowden by just over a tenth. Kevin McPherson recovered pretty well to finish 4.5 seconds down, but on the podium, Frankie Arvello, Tristan Callahan, your top 5, Jason Arensberg, Clay Harris, David Hebert, and Brandon Walter, along with Brett Accord, your top 10 finishers. They're all within a minute, but everyone else is 1 lap or 2 or more down. Brian Hotham, Sean Duhamel, Dave Peterson, Andrew Moran, 3 laps down for him. Barry Cochran, 3 laps down for him. Austin Harris, Donald Olson, and Christopher Perez, your 18 runners. Michael Dowden, the fast lap, a 108 flat on lap 26. Well, let's just jump right into talking to our winner of this race, Jake Faulkner. Jake the Snake. That was a wild one. You led 1 lap, and the only one that mattered was the final one. Take us through just your emotions after winning that great barn burner of a race.
Oh, man. Dude, I was just trying to keep it in. I barely had any fuel at the end. I was saving coming out of the pit lane after a wacky pit lane entrance. I minced the entrance and cut up through the grass. And then after that, I was just trying to save fuel. And then those two, Andrew and Michael, with fighting so much. I figured, hey, might as well give it a shot. I don't care if I run out of fuel, and just barely had enough. Right as I crossed the line, I ran out.
Right as you crossed the line, you ran out of fuel, and that might have played into your celebration right there. So,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, you didn't quite, remember the race. You still won the race. Talk about that for a moment.
Well, it was very lucky. It was unfortunate to see what happened to Andrew with that crazy rejoin from behind, and then another rejoin a lap later let me get the jump on Michael a little bit, and so I don't feel like I completely deserve that one, but I'll definitely take it.
Well, I can at least tell you our opinion is that you definitely deserved that win, fair and square. Who do you have to thank for the performance tonight?
Drivenperformanceproducts.com, and probably my dad. He's pretty cool.
I like it. Your dad taught you how to win a race. I think that's pretty cool. But
Yes,
Jake Faulkner, you're a winner from tonight's event. Congratulations.
Thanks. Happy thank.
Oh, what were you saying, Jake, before I rudely moved you from the channel?
I was just trying to say happy Thanksgiving, guys.
All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, I just totally cut him off right there, Derek. But we got Kevin McPherson, who finished in third. I think you're standing alongside him.
Well, Kevin McPherson, you were up and down the grid tonight. You started up in P3, and at one point I think you were down to P5 or 6. But you still salvaged a P3. What a good run tonight.
Thank you.
So walk us through, obviously you're a few seconds back. What did you see regarding the couple last rejoins on the track that led to some chaos?
They were actually out of my field of view. They were a little too far ahead of me, right around that corner, which is kind of blind. So I didn't get to see very much, but I'll be interested in watching the replay.
And so for a while, we saw you in a really tight battle with Tristan Callahan and others as the night was going on. What was it like to be in that tight battle of 3 cars at a smaller track like this in these cars?
Yeah, it was fun, man. Felt like I had the pace to stay up front. I made a few mistakes, got a couple off tracks there at the beginning part of it, and then just went for the undercut on the pit, and unfortunately that paid off for me. Nice to get on the podium for once. Felt like I've had a chance all season, and it just hasn't been able to come together, so pretty cool.
So I think at the beginning of the broadcast, we were having a talk about these type of tracks. When it comes to these cars specifically, do you prefer smaller tracks like Summit Point, or are you someone who prefers to race them on the bigger tracks like the Nürburgring or Watkins Glen or places like that?
Man, smaller and bumpier the better. I love the feedback.
There you go. Well, listen, great job tonight. We'll see you in 2 weeks when we come back to finish off the season. And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thank you.
All right, that's Kevin McPherson finished at P3 tonight. And the crazy part, Dylan, is we're not done. It is time to transition into another bumpy track as we continue our tour across the United States. Let's move into the Formula C series here on RaceSpotTV into Detroit. Whoa, my voice cracked there. Is that puberty hitting all of a sudden? Oh,
Hey, it's okay.
I just had a birthday, but it wasn't that birthday. I don't know what happened right there, but Belle Isle is where we're at. And here we go, Dylan.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. My voice cracks all the time when I'm getting really excited for some good racing action. So I think that's a good excuse right there. Belle Isle, what a beautiful circuit. I'm quite sad that is it the redacted car series anymore? Considering, redacted car series. Of course, here for a long time, not going to Belle Isle this year. So kind of inoperable, not in use in the real world, but hey, it's iRacing. We can do what we want, and Formula C in the Precision Racing League is going to Belle Isle. Let's take a look at how we got here. Suzuka and Mount Panoramas opened the season up in September. Road Atlanta, Red Bull Ring, Aragon, Virginia, Raceway, VIR, were the October races. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and Sebring were the last couple. Now we have Detroit and then a 2-week break before we get to Watkins Glen. It'll be actually the last PRL race of 2023. that Watkins Glen finale for Formula C. Could you imagine if we went into December?
Yeah, it would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? It's kind of fun to see. So I think they'll have some exhibition races in December. But yeah, for official points-paying races, we'll pick back up again in the new year, 2024. But let's, speaking of points-paying races, let's take a look at the points here. So right now, David C. Holland holds a 16-point lead. He gave up some of that last week after he did not race, so Holland has no drop week left. Then it's Kevin San Diego, 5 points back. And then Connor Wagner and Mackenzie Rune. Robert Ridgway is 1 point behind Rune. And then J.R. Williams, Scott Barton, Jeff Groff, and Tommy Brisson round out your top 10, Dylan.
Well, as we look at those point standings for the drivers, we move to the teams. And yeah, Delta Sports winning. Just by a smidge over Rust Racing Iron, 221 points. I think we can say that that team battle for the overall lead is over with. Rust Racing Iron has a 25-point advantage over Atomic Racing, and Atomic Racing is in a podium spot by 32 points over Rust Racing Oxide. So they're in a battle for the top 4 spots, top 5, all to play for, just 11 points separating the teams in 4th to 7th. That'll be fun to look out for, especially in a few weeks' time. Nonetheless, it is qualifying time here at Belle Isle, and it's a wonderful circuit. Love this place. It's a circuit with 14 corners, a lot of them not your typical street course kind of track. Of course, right in here, it's I guess you could say similar to the Summit Point Carousel. Obviously, not at all the same, but that turn 7 to turn 11 complex is very technical and very challenging to get right. But it's so beautiful seeing them move around it. And I got to say, my favorite point in this track is literally that run down into turn 1 and that sweeping corner in turn 2. So much fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun track, and as you said, obviously there's a new Detroit street circuit that premiered this year that, at least for now, is going to take the place of the use of this track in real life, as this is a beautiful street circuit, one of the few of them that we have in iRacing as far as street circuits are concerned. But with qualifying underway here, less than 10 minutes to go, and David Holland is now currently P3. That's who we're watching here, trying to beat his best of a 1:20.693 to catch either J.R. Williams or Kevin San Diego.
Yeah, and David Holland, of course, with that championship lead. Yeah, that was that looked like a wall slapper, but Holland, most wins all time in open wheel racing and PRL. You know who's second? Greg Seitz. You know who's first and second in the championship right now? Holland and Seitz. So Kevin San Diego in third in that championship, and he's only got a few wins in his PRL career. You take a look at this map of Belle Isle, and Derek, I think it would be a wonderful thing if, with this extended amount of time we have remaining in qualifying, you took us on board and for a ride of what it takes to get a lap done here at Belle Isle.
Well, the two things we're going to talk about consistently around this track is bumpiness. Listen to it. Just listen to how bumpy this track is and how fast it is. But the thing that concerns me the most about this track, Dylan, is how narrow it is. This is a street circuit. If a car gets turned around here or hit or bumped or whatever you want to call it, there's not a lot of space to avoid here. But look at this beautiful right-hander here. And another one upcoming here. Using those curbs as much as safely possible in a Formula C car. And now Holland here, by the way, did take the pole last time by. I think I missed that, but he did get a new best time. Now down a long straightaway here. Just a slight, almost dog leg to the right. And now another one to the left here. Onto the Corvette Bridge. And then we'll make a no miss thin part of the track here with the left-hander. And I believe right around here, Dylan, you're going to correct me, right around here is where they wrecked that Corvette pace car, right?
Oh, yeah. Wait. It was, yeah, wait a second. Yeah,
that's right. It was turn 2. You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
that was where the big hit came. That's the only reason I like that sweeping corner. It's because the pace car, the Corvette wrecked.
And we're coming through the right-hander here. Lots of trees here, by the way, lots of shade. And I tell you what, if you're in VR or if you have HDR turned on in your sim racing software, all the sunlight, the different trees, you know, the shading, the whatever you want to call it, the glare is all going to hit you pretty hard at this track. This is a very involved track here for a simple street circuit.
Yeah, it's definitely very involved here, and it's very important to get every corner as just correct as you can. And if that requires a little bit extra brake and maybe not as aggressive on the throttle, which was not seen from Alex Court, it is qualifying, so go flat out if you can. The attrition rate, I think, in this race is going to be something to behold because it's very tight. There are so many fast sweeping corners. Look at that in the background, a hit to the wall coming out of turn 11. But Alex Court is continuing to move with some pace, with some speed. One more quick right-handed corner to go before he crosses the line. And does he improve his positioning? Yeah, just one position better into P7. J.R. Williams now in that 13 machine. He's looking to go crazy on the threes because he's sitting in third, 3/10 back.
I'll tell you what, J.R. Williams really came back to life last week, Dylan, at Sebring and had an amazing run. Told me he's looking to do it again here. You know, him and his teammate Julio Palacio have dominated Formula C in past seasons, and they've just had an off season. So I'm sure they're ready for the season to be over and kind of regroup and get lined up again here. But watch J.R. Williams coming around here and doing a pretty good job. And right there, I think that's where the pace car hit right there, actually.
Yeah. Right out of turn 2 is where that pace car decided to meet its demise. And, you know, there's been a lot of very famous incidents at this course. You remember there was a stuck, I wouldn't say a stuck throttle, but just a throttle that was held, and it was held wide open by just a malfunction. Sent a open wheel car deep into turn 3 into the tire barriers, kind of climbed those tire barriers. And that was definitely a wild looking incident here, but it's a lot of fun. Just a wonderful track, and it's usually my go-to street circuit for just trying to test myself while also really enjoying the you know, just the scenery around it. You're literally on an island. It's perfect. But we continue moving through qualifying as Kevin Sandiego has moved himself into P2. The 88 machine of Sandiego will cross the line. That was not the lap he wanted. 2 seconds off the pace with under 4.5 to go. He'll start his next lap. Brett Thurman currently in 13th position in that little loop section, the quote-unquote carousel, if you will. Comes out of it. Turn 11 is more than or I guess you could say less than a 90-degree angle of a corner, so it's at least difficult to kind of slow down and get the car turned to the right. It's a little bit deceiving. You think it's 90 degrees, but it truly is not. As we move into turn 12 and such, Scott Barton blinked for a moment, but reappeared. He'll get P9 for the moment. Back with J.R. Williams now. It's goodness me, the sounds of these cars and just the looks of being at Belle Isle, something to behold for just a moment. Let's take a listen to the sounds and the tires squealing and the engines roaring. Guys, they've modeled boats in iRacing. That is attention to detail. We're still watching qualifying, and that was a nice listen to the sounds of these cars and watching with the driver of the 13. That was J.R. Williams. But now David Holland, who is setting the pace for everyone else on track right now, and he's got a lot of speed in that 28 machine. These cars have more power, more downforce, more everything than the Formula D cars that we were using just moments ago at Summit Point. And that certainly helps through some of these faster kinks and corners at Belle Isle. You don't think of a street circuit as having, fast aero-dependent corners, but you certainly have them here.
Yeah, you really do have them here. But the thing about David Holland, I sort of briefly brought it up a second ago. We're looking at the points, but I want to talk about it again, Dylan. He is basically racing with no safety net tonight. He missed last week's race, so his drop week for the season is a 0. He has nothing to fall back on. He is currently in the lead by 16 points over Greg Seitz. But either this week or next week, if Holland has a bad night, he has no safety net. So he is racing for everything tonight. He cannot let up a single bit.
Absolutely. Cannot let it up at all. Holland crosses the line, and was that an extended by 2/10? Yeah. Unbelievable. 2/10 faster than his previous best, and at this point, Holland is just laughing his way to pole position in this one. Greg Seitz, his biggest championship competitor, currently sitting in 4th. At the end of the day, doesn't matter where you start, right? It's all about where you finish. And 45 minutes of Detroit for these drivers and these conditions with these cars is definitely going to be a battle to survive here, as Robert Ridgway will cross the line at 1:21.37, loses control. That's going to be qualifying session over for him. He will not improve on his previous time. Here's Blake Ziti, which has suddenly made me hungry for some baked pasta.
Well, I tell you, Blake is probably hungry for a better result here than a P16 on the grid, so he's going to try to run this lap around. Remember, the rules of PRL for this series says that if you started the lap before Barney the Flagman threw the checkered flag out, you'll get to finish the lap here. You can tell based upon this time, he's only at 45 seconds. He's about halfway through. And a little more than halfway through, actually. But we're to on board here. And man, look how narrow some of this track is, Dylan. This will be really tight all night long. It'll be really hard to make too many passes here, I would think.
Yeah, but I feel like there's going to be enough passes made just because of mistakes from other drivers. Like this is definitely a I'll take what I can get kind of race where some drivers are going to be making mistakes at a pretty big margin, and you just need to be in the right spot to take advantage of it. As Ziti crosses the line, he'll improve his time by 0.5, and don't think he improved much of his position. James Carter now running currently 20th. He crosses the line with an improvement on his time, but no positions. There is quite a gap on back. Well, that's it for qualifying here. Let's get to the starting grid. And I don't think we have any surprises of who is on top. David Holland in the 28 machine with a 1:21.45. It's a Delta Sport front row. Kevin Sandiego almost 0.4 off of David Holland's time. That doesn't bode well for competitiveness in P1 as the race moves on. In third, J.R. Williams, and then alongside him is Holland's main championship competitor, Greg Seitz, in fourth, 0.4 plus off of Holland. Mackenzie Roon, Julio Palacio in the front 3 rows, and then it really gets spread out here with the intervals from first on back. Scott Barton, Alex Court, Li Ho Yin Lung, and Adam Kolsar. They're all within the top 10 and all within 1 second. Michael Broomhead, Robert Ridgway, your front 6 rows, Derek.
Coming back to P13, you'll find Brett Thurman side by side with Tommy Brisson, who comes in P10 in points. Then Brian Lowe and Blake Ziti, 15 and 16, with Steven Ritters and Tyler DeZube 17th, and 18th. Then you got Richard Swindells, James Carter, and Eric Dubé rounding out the 21 cars who took a time in this qualifying session.
21 drivers, 21 cars in this race in the field tonight. And I think we're expecting somewhere in the region of 32 or so laps at Belle Isle. They're all ready to go. The green flag will be waved now. Underway, Detroit, Belle Isle. Immediately, San Diego comes over to the outside to get the best run possible on his teammate for Delta Sport, David Holland, who leads the field out of turn 2. The long run down to turn 3. Some jockeying for position in the back. Will we see any calamity here? A cut to the inside, late on the braking. So far, so good.
Yep, so far so good is the right comment here. Lots of too wide racing, but no contact so far that I could see. Coming back to the field here. You see them all cutting here through the corner. And I already see it's going to be a 1-2 there. But Delta Sport, J.R. Williams got a little loose back here, lost some time. And now he's under fire here for P number 3.
Yeah, what did we say just moments ago? Once you make a mistake, you are just meat on the dinner table for drivers in behind you. They want to get these positions, and when they smell blood in the water and they see that a driver in front is vulnerable, well, what did the Honey Badger himself say about drivers who are vulnerable in front, Derek?
You know what? I don't know what the Honey Badger said.
I like him vulnerable.
All right.
Oh, goodness. Things you can only say. Oh, look at that. Big wreck. And that's going to be a potential race ender. Hold the brakes. There's lots of cars moving by. Now potentially get moving again. That is game over for Adam Kolsar.
That's unfortunate. What is fortunate is that it was only a single car incident there through that part of the track, but unfortunate for him to have a race end here on lap 2. Everyone's going to make the right-hander into this corner here. And some too wide racing back here. That's one of the Yeast Motorsports cars. That's Ritter's back there, but made it cleanly here.
Made it cleanly so far, as this is a hornet's nest on lap 2 of what we currently see as 31 or 32 laps. They'll change as it goes on. It's a 45-minute timed race here at Belle Isle, as David Holland has a big lead already on Kevin San Diego. Greg Seitz is another second back, so 1 second to second, another second back to third, and then it starts to get a little bit closer with J.R. Williams leading a pack of a lot of hungry cars right now.
Yep, J.R. Williams leading a pack that includes Mackenzie Roon, Julio Palacio, Scott Barton, and others here. There you go. There's J.R. Williams, and 2 behind him, that similar livery. That's his teammate, Julio Palacio. Now they're going to come through here. These S's and a new fastest lap. Kevin San Diego, a 1:22 flat last time by.
I like seeing the evenness of the zeros across the screen, so that is a fun lap time to look at. 1:22 flat for San Diego. Excuse me, and Holland will try to escape, but I mean, he's already built up enough of a margin right now where I don't think he's got to worry as long as he's putting in lap times that are similar to that absolutely flyer of a lap.
Yeah, probably not. Eric Dubé has also gone off track, by the way. When you see him pit, there was appeared there in a second for a pylon on the left. We'll find out why in a moment. Get back to you here. There must have been an incident in the back we didn't see, Dylan, because there's a couple cars on pit road. Let's see the Kolsar replay first, though.
All right, so this is what happened earlier in the run. Big left rear suspension damage, and there's no wonder that that is a race-ending incident. It's a shame, but hey, open wheel, they're fragile. You hit a wall that hard with an exposed left rear, and you're done. That's just kind of how it goes, as you see now the replay with Eric Dubé currently running in 20th after getting a tow. Oh, he just didn't turn. Don't tell me he... Okay, wait a second. Was there more that we didn't see after that? Because Brian Lowe is out as well. Okay, so Brian Lowe, we're hearing, is not involved in that incident. That's another problem. So 3 individual incidents with drivers already on lap 3 to 4 of this race. As here's the replay of Brian Lowe, and he just turned in way too early, and that's a race ender for sure as well.
And you know what, the challenge of this track, Dylan, as a driver, is that you do have to turn to these corners and find some kind of apex in them. You can't run them wide or you risk running the outside wall. So that's the challenge of this track with how narrow this is sometimes the apex and the wall are not that far apart.
Very true, as these drivers will keep moving at a pace that they feel like can get them a win. And I say that very loosely, because sometimes it is the fastest cars, the fastest drivers that win the race. That's how it usually goes, right? But sometimes the fastest drivers are going a little bit too fast for their own good. And especially here, where the margins are so thin and the potential to make a mistake that is race ending is so high, as Kevin Sandiego puts in a flyer of a lap that's a second quicker almost than what he put down as his fast lap just a couple ago. He has pulled Israel in Holland just a little bit, but you know what I mean about the fastest car, the fastest driver isn't always the winner, whether it's because of strategy going wrong or because of your own mistakes while going as fast as you can.
No, usually it's the most consistent driver wins the race. That's what we preach sometimes with endurance racing, is that's what wins. But I mean, you talked about Sandiego having a lap that was a second faster than his previous one. It was almost a second faster than David Holland. Sandiego was a 121.06. Holland was a 121.72. Only a couple more laps like that, and Sandiego will be in the lead here over top of David Holland here at Detroit Belle Isle.
We see this battle right now with Leong and Barton, both the number 5 and the 009 machines. You ever wonder why some drivers do pick the 3? Like the 3.
I'm not. No, this is. Race
is there something I don't know?
Oh yeah, you've never commentated with Arjuna.
Oh, I've totally. He was the Arjuna Genkipati and our first race broadcasting on RaceSpotTV was together way back in 2020.
So you've never heard the Arjuna numbers or zeros don't belong in race cars argument?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness! So if you wanna go to a TED Talk sometime, just ask Arjuna about zeros in race cars.
Okay, what you're saying is I should just put in the staff chat for RaceSpotTV. That
make sure I unsubscribe that day.
I really like the 009 machine. The selection of Scott Barton, is that for the zeros coming in front, or just at all?
The TLDR, and then we'll get back to the racing, is that when you're the zeros mess with things, basically, especially when you're programming and trying to get things working. Zeros just aren't meant to be there. And I agree, a zero should not be in front of a race car number. It's just awful. But great job by J.R. Williams here, getting through the corners and holding off Mackenzie Roon. You know what? Speaking of upsetting RaceSpot employees, Dylan, if you want to get into Dustin Ollis' skin, man, that's a beautiful paint scheme right there. And I'll get a grumble in my second from Dustin Ollis.
Did he just change the camera into something?
He did. Oh yeah, he absolutely did. That was on purpose.
Am I just unaware of the RaceSpot TV?
Yes.
Why is that?
You are. David Holland just put down a new fastest lap, by the way.
Okay, David Holland now a second in front of Kevin Sandiego. I need to understand Dustin's problem with that scheme. And Holland took
No. It's not. So I'm going to speak for him. He can't. It's that he thinks that we have better things to talk about during a race than how beautiful a car looks.
Okay, I'm learning things about everyone and what makes them angry, and I'll store that away for a future date.
Well, tell you what, if you want to learn things and learn how to get better at things, as we said in the last hour, registration is open for PRL for Season 1 2024. You can head to their website and sign up and learn all the details. Let me walk you through the proposed schedule for Formula C next season. Dylan Coyle. Dustin Ollis will hear it as well, I guess, in his ears.
Yeah, I guess he will.
Here we go. So here it is. Week 1, Road Atlanta. Week 2, Silverstone. Week 3, the Indy Road Course. Week 4, Phillip Islands. Then we're going to go to other tracks such as Sebring, Zandvoort, Alton Park, Imola, and Interlagos in a 9-week season that officially begins January 4th, 2024.
January 4th, just after New Year. So if you're still hurting once you wake up on January 1st, I hope that you recover within the next 3 days to get moving for some Season 1 Formula C action on January 4th. And that'll be a fun time. I know you're thinking about joining a Wednesday PRL series, whether it's
there's some
National
thoughts.
or the Trucks.
Possibly see me yourself. And you can see other RaceSpot members out on the track all week long as well. But man, what a great battle Holland and San Diego are having, trading that fastest lap here. So we're working lap 8 of 32 here. So we are, by my math, 25% of the way through the race. Look at that commentator math. That was pretty simple.
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty proud of you for that one, to be honest. Even though it is quite simple, 32 and 8 4 times, it is still math. And, you know what isn't math? 009. But as we continue moving through this lap 8, I think the tail of the tape is going to be Holland and San Diego. They both have very fast cars. And I don't think Holland is putting anything on the sandbag, because I think San Diego, who just set the fastest lap of the race now, a 1:27.94, he's definitely staying within striking distance of Holland, but Holland is also matching his times, even if he's not usually setting the fastest lap of the race. His last lap was only 1/10 off of Kevin San Diego's last lap, so they're still running the top 2 fastest times in this race. And as a matter of fact, Holland right now, his pace is over the course of this lap so far is 2/10 quicker.
Yeah, they are trading it back and forth, and you can tell by how much this track twists and turns that for the first time, I feel like in a few weeks now, we're not going to discuss the draft here at Belle Isle. It's going to be all about pure racing skills. Speaking of that, a beautiful attempt to make a pass there. That was Mackenzie Roon, I think, trying to get around J.R. Williams, and it was. It's the battle for 4th and 5th, and that's teammate Julio Palacio if you add him in for P6. And they're all trying to battle here. Look at that. Get him added to the screen there. There's not much gap between these 3 cars. And I am excited to see if Julio Palacio eventually sets up a move here and gets around Mackenzie Roon.
It is a different entirely once you catch a car to pass a car. And I feel like at Belle Isle, more than a lot of tracks, that it challenges the driver, right? This is more a battle between driver and track than it is driver and driver. It takes so much concentration to put in fast lap times, especially when you're trying to play a little bit of defense, but at the same time, trying to go on the attack, as there is a big jump over the curb and a blink from Michael Broomhead, who currently seeing his gap is all zeros, but he's just uncomfortable if on that leaderboard. He's back on it though, but there's some passes going on where he is concerned. Broomhead and Steven Ritters just swapping positions. Blake Ziti in the 50 machine and 14th, trying to get by Broomhead. And this, of course, is coming at some of the faster sections of this track out of turn 8, now down to turn 7. It's a long, straight slash just sweeping corner, I guess you could say. You just have to turn the wheel a little bit. But this is where the money is made. This is where you see all those marbles starting to kind of collect, and it's real skatey if you get over that gray area here. It's a single lane kind of part of the track.
Yeah, it really is here. By the way, I promised you some investigative journalism, Dylan Coyle, and the first hour when you were wondering what kind of VR headset Tristan Callahan has. I have confirmed it to be the Samsung Odyssey Plus, by the way, just to finish off that story. So none of us were right. Myself and Dustin Ellis said the Valve Index. You were going Rift S, and nope, it's Samsung Odyssey Plus.
Hey, wait a second. You had your correct what I'm saying here moment. I'm gonna say the same thing. I said it had the Rift S headband, but it's too shiny to be a Rift S. That's all I want to say. That's right.
That is what you said. So, for inquiring minds, a Samsung Odyssey Plus is the correct answer in case you guys were betting at home or, I don't know, had an office pool going or whatever. But that is the answer. But right now, we have a great battle. Look at this. San Diego and Holland still this close together.
The closest
Half a
they've been.
second.
Yeah, it's certainly the closest they've been in this race, in this run. Look at how close to the wall Holland got. Might have had to take his foot off the throttle for the slightest of moments. It's stabilized around 4/10 now as they go through turn 13 and now turn 14. This very small and short front straightaway. And, I mean, all the time you spend in the throttle from turn 12 until turn 3, I mean, that's half the length of this track, that you're in the throttle almost 100% of the time. At 100%, obviously you got to lift off at some points, but now it gets a little bit more technical. Turn 4, you try not to put it into the wall. In the turn 5, it's a little sharper than you might expect. Turn 6 brings us to a long, it's not considered any corners here, and it's not completely straight either, but you are full throttle and have to set yourself up for the most technical section of the track, the inner loop, if you will. Turn 7, that right-hander, and Holland has pulled 3/10, 4/10 more in front at the moment, but once you get under braking, and then maybe you get a little bit better run in through the carousel, look at how quickly that gap just closed up.
Yeah, it really does. It closes up, and look at this on board here, and you see watch the bumpiness of the track and how much it throws them off here. In fact, I think we're going to lay back for a second here, Dylan, and go RaceSpot fan immersion, and to sit back for a lap and crank up the engines and let you guys watch this battle as it happens live.
We rejoin now with news of a major crash happening in the back of the field. Brett Thurman, Tyler Dezube involved here. Thurman was a singular wreck, just went straight head on into the wall. I don't know if he just let go of his wheel or something.
Yeah,
but
that was weird, right? To see that happen, almost like maybe, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but that was just kind of weird to see that happen. This will be Dezube up next here.
Let go, but yeah, Dezube. Oh, he saved it almost, but his tires are really hot at that point, and bang, not the
a very soft bang right there.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
More of a boop and less of a bang. Oh, that's pretty convenient. If that was the pit road entrance right there.
That was so convenient. That was so convenient. But you're right. That was that was
More of a
very. I maybe oversold the boom, and that's where
I've never mind.
Here's the boom. Wait for it. Okay, it was a little more than a boop. It wasn't.
It sounded like he killed the motor there to try to like get it slowed down, and did a pretty good job of it right there. And of course, you saw Dzube was able to get right on pit road, and in fact, maybe even quote unquote lucky. We're almost within the pit window. Like, obviously, Dzube will have to get some repairs done, but that should still be a single pit stop run for him in this race.
Here's a potential pass coming into that inner loop. 8th and 9th place, Barton Court, and just can't get alongside to get into turn 7 side by side. So he races on, and if you can't get side by side into a corner, but you compromise your own line, you're going to pay. And that's exactly what we saw right there. Alex Court lost half a second pretty much to Barton. And Leon, he's got an interesting, situation as Holland sets another fast lap. He has been having a lot of connection issues, and he's back into his spot in 7th, but he's got a train of cars in behind him. I wonder if that kind of plays into maybe some antsiness of these cars. They want to get by, they want to make moves, and it's potentially getting to be a little feisty in this battle for 7th. All these cars in the top 10, 7th to 10th.
Yeah, that can play a factor in a driver's mentality with the iRacing service. If a driver in front of you is having a hard time connection-wise or starts to blink, or even if it's having a slow lap, it really affects how fast you want to get around them sometimes. So we'll probably see Barton, Court, and Robert Ridgway start to make some moments here and some moves to make that happen. When I talked to Robert Ridgway, he said he was feeling decent about this track, just thought he needed to stay out of trouble and he could pull off a top 10, and so far that's where he is.
Well, I feel like that's the case. As we continue, we're halfway through at the end of this lap in this one, and we've seen 5 incidents. Only one of them has collected 2 drivers, but pretty much they've all started or ended courtesy of just one mistake from one driver. And I mean, hey, if we're going by that rate, almost half the field will be out of this race at the end of it. So yeah, with that kind of considered, you survive, there's going to be 10 spots remaining to be in at the end of the race. I don't think we'll have as much attrition as we've seen for the second half of this run, but it's definitely something to consider as Barton takes a peek down the inside. That was Alex Court, I should say, down the peek down the inside of Barton there. Oh boy, double O behave.
Well, Dylan, as I think we're getting about halfway through the race, of course, pit stops will begin. Probably the next, I'd say, 5 laps or so is my guess about when we see most of them happen. But, of course, next week here for the PRL Open Wheel Series, we are off for American Thanksgiving. I was curious, do you have a favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Oh, absolutely. There's a little wiggle comes right there, courtesy of Alex Court. But yes, I do. And, it's shifted throughout the years. And I've been on a recent, weight reduction plan, I guess you could say, with my eating habits. So Thanksgiving is going to be a very dangerous time for me here, as pit stops for Alex Court have begun, and a potential move down the outside. What a run right there from Scott Barton. Oh no, huge wreck! Barton and Leong, just an absolute mistake. Both of them hit the wall hard. I don't know how they're still moving right there.
Was that opposite sides of the wall at the same time? I want to see that again. It's almost like they both made the same mistake, but I don't think they were connected, right?
I don't think so. They almost just ran into each other again.
Okay, let's see a replay here. Maybe I'm wrong. That does happen. Well, let's see here. This will be from Leon. Oh, no, he hits him. Okay, nope, I was completely wrong. He got in the back end of him, of Barton. And you're right. The most impressive part is how they're driving away from that big collision here at Belle Isle. Of course, they'll both need to pit this time for repairs. I'm positive of that. But wow, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that certainly did. I was going to say it looks like my, reigning second place Thanksgiving side dish, which is a bowl of stuffing. my usual growing up has been cranberry sauce.
You're
for sure.
disgusting.
I know I am, but I feel like in recent years, it's stuffing is trending upwards. It's up in the power rankings for sure. We'll see how I feel with how I feel after I eat a large Thanksgiving dinner. Oh man, I can't wait. 1 week away.
It is 1 week away. That's why we'll be off next week, and then we'll be back for the finale in 2 weeks here. We'll talk about those dates at the end of the broadcast here. We're still watching some great racing going on here. This is going to be J.R. Williams here with Mackenzie Roon right behind him, and then Greg Seitz right in front of them. Now, I am going to tell you that the correct answer, by the way, was deviled eggs.
What? What? Our producer concurs?
Yeah, deviled eggs, the best Thanksgiving side dish. Like, if I show up to your house and you don't have deviled eggs, I'm just probably leaving.
All right, well, I don't plan to have deviled eggs, and I guess I just shouldn't invite you then. It's okay.
Perfect. That's good. Let's watch this here. Kevin San Diego.
Oh, that's a huge hit.
Yeah, he kind of had a small wiggle like your cranberry sauce there, and sort of got it loose, and then found the wall.
All right, now I'm hungry. So San Diego's in the pits. There's no doubt, I think, that we're going to see some repairs because that's got to be something bent in the suspension as David Holland is trying to, get by a car that's kind of a lap down, and that got really tight right there. This is the 13 machine. My mistake. This is a pass for the position with Mackenzie Roon and J.R. Williams. So my apologies there. Not David Holland. This is Roon and Williams.
And with that moment there with Kevin San Diego, this is now realistically the battle for third and fourth because San Diego will not cycle back out into the top like he was. So this is now going to be a battle for more spots ahead than we thought it would be. Greg Seitz, of course, benefits up to P2, but he's still multiple, almost 5-6 seconds back from David Holland here. So this right here is now the battle for P3 as this race goes on.
I'm trying to see if San Diego had an elongated pit stop, and it was 10.9 seconds, almost 11 seconds there. The average is somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5 seconds for fuel. So, I mean, as everyone comes down pit lane, I think it's because you could only run 20 laps on this tank of fuel that they've got with the restrictions on how much fuel you can have in the Formula machines. Holland, the first pit box, let's see, 4.7 seconds. Yeah, there is no battle for the lead anymore between Holland and San Diego. What a mistake from San Diego to more than likely throw this race away.
Oh, definitely. Unfortunately, did. I don't think there's any way about that. J.R. Williams, pretty solid time. Mackenzie Roon, 4.8. Everyone at the top has about the same time. Kevin San Diego's right there, though, in P5. But, I mean, it's right there. I say that in this battle, but there's no way he gets back up to racing with David Holland.
That's the thing, right? It's San Diego is still, 6 seconds is a really solid amount of time if you were a second behind the leader. But with all the battling in this race, you're still on track to compete for a podium position, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. J.R. Williams in that podium position, 2 spots ahead of San Diego. How about this? A battle for third. Roon gets into third, inches ahead, but heading into turn 7, the inside line is given to J.R. Williams. Roon, Williams still alongside each other, and Kevin San Diego is right there to pounce. Oh, he made a big issue again. That's a front wing loss, bad to worse for San Diego. What a horrible turn of events. He's going to have to come down pit lane once again. That is 2 race-ruining mistakes there for the driver in the 88.
That is really awful to see. Let's watch it here. He's going to be behind this battle here.
He just got too aggressive there.
Got a little too aggressive. Made contact with Mackenzie Roon. The amazing part to that, to me, though, Dylan, if you're honest about it, is that San Diego got the worst of that. Typically, if you rear in someone, the car in front of you would at least spin or move, but that's, man, I don't know. That was weird.
I think just with how the movement happened, right? San Diego, you know, he was trying to fit something too wide when there was already a car in front that was too wide. So I wonder if just because of how the corner was going to the left and he hit, I believe, Mackenzie Rune while Rune was going to the left. I wonder if that kind of plays a part in the lack of damage or effect that it went to Rune. Here's Rune and Williams as well, still battling for the podium spot. Rune almost got into that wall that kind of jutted out to the outside. Some wiggling, some loose spinning of the rear wheels, and we've got a great race on our hands between Palacio, Williams, and Rune for third.
Yeah, this is a great race right here. And you know who it's not a great race for is Delta Sport, by the way. With Kevin San Diego having that damage again. You know, Connor Wagner took the night off. He's actually over in YouTube chat chatting along with us and watching along. So right now it's up to just David C. Holland to do well. But this is, as you said, a great battle with Williams leading Mackenzie Rune. I said Maroon. That's not right. Mackenzie Rune and Julio Palacio around this track.
When you have a 221-point lead in a team's championship like Delta Sport,
you can have a bad night.
You can have a horrible night, especially with just one race left after this. A bit of a block from J.R. Williams on Rune. It's so hard, though, to get the momentum you need. This is Rune's opportunity. Needs a really good turn in here, but was not good enough. Did not get anywhere close to the apex of the wall that did take out a competitor earlier in this race. Just turning in too early. It's easy to do there, but it's very much a case of high risk, high reward if you can get the run going down this curved straightaway into this loop section right here around the fountain.
Yeah, definitely correct. I would say that this whole track is very technical. Oh man, look at that, a little bit of looseness there for Palacio out of that corner. You saw the car kind of wiggle a little bit, but still all together here. And they start to wonder, it's moments like this, what can happen to drivers. Palacio may think he's faster than Mackenzie Rune, but he can't find a way around him, and that will begin to frustrate him and make him drive a little bit more aggressive as these last 8 or 9 laps move on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there when we're talking about the technical parts of this track. As Rune just got into the wall, that's going to slow Rune down right now. You're right when we talk about this track being technical, but there's no more technical part, I believe, as you were going into, than that, that inner loop there. It's hard to get right, but it's also really easy to see drivers get it wrong, and we've seen it a few times tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look how, even when they're getting it right, look how close they ride almost every corner up against the wall, and you can almost hear, the bottoming out of the cars and how close they come to scraping these walls. It's just, yeah, it is a very difficult track. It's one that, doesn't probably get used enough for how technical it is, but because of how hard it is, it's not one of the most popular racetracks across iRacing, I don't think.
No, I don't know if it's the most popular, but I said it. I don't know if I said it earlier in this broadcast or off air, but it's a track I love to take for a spin, hot lap some cars. It's difficult to pass, though. You really have to capitalize on mistakes and be as perfect as you can be. David Holland is doing exactly that. 1:25.63 last lap, best lap for the driver of the 28 machine. Well on his way to potentially another championship here once we get back to racing in 2 weeks' time.
And I'll tell you what, the pace that David Holland has here and the lead he has and how comfortable he looks, you would think he's just like born and raised in South Detroit, Dylan. He's just got it. He's like his hometown right here.
Just a small town. Living in a... I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, Blake Ziti's on pit road, by the way.
Yeah, Blake Ziti went down pit road. Pit lane could not stand hearing my voice sing a song. So I understand that. Big hit.
That's what happened.
Side. That's a tank slapper, and it's
that's
what
you're singing to him.
Oh, there's another hit, and
like a 2-for-1 special.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it doesn't help when you've got two very similar right-hand corners and you can't turn to the right. Kind of hit the wall on the outside, on the left side, but remember we were talking about that attrition. Just surviving potentially gets you a top 10. Well, everyone who has had problems in this race, only 13 of them remain without problems at this point.
You know, I'm disappointed, Dylan, because in honor of fellow RaceSpot commentator Justin Prince, who is Canadian, when I said South Detroit, I expect you to tell me there's no such place as South Detroit. That's just called Canada. But you missed your cue.
Well, I mean, okay. Fair. You're accurate. You're right. South Detroit is Canada.
Canada.
Is Toronto and all that jazz. Windsor, I guess you could say.
I was
more
going to say, technically it's
specifically.
Windsor, I believe.
Technically it's Windsor. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to ponder that and reevaluate my life opinions on that song now. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, listen, I'm not sure it's going to matter in the grand scheme of the race, but Greg Seitz has that lead down to less than 8 seconds. So while he's probably not going to close the gap here before the race is over, he is doing a good job of at least closing that gap and trying to keep on the throttle and keep him motivated to race here, as that is now moving between 7 and 8 seconds, I guess, depending upon the part of the track. But already we're seeing battles all around. And lap traffic will play a factor here if it hasn't already. David Holland will have to deal with that, and that will be a tense and nervous moment for David Holland, pardon me.
Well, it definitely helps.
Wait, Julio Palacios
like Julio Palacio out of the race might have had an issue. Here's a replay of what happened. Palacio losing it into the wall. Race over. 12 drivers without problems in this race. So I guess you could say the first half is very similar to the attrition rate of the second half here. But yeah, I think David Holland came into this race with the potential for, as Ridgeway goes into the pits as well. I wonder if drivers can't make it, or no, it's just a problem again. Is this a Ridgeway problem? Oh,
yeah, but
no,
this is what I was thinking was going to happen. This is Julio Palacio. And, you know, this is not the first time we've seen that kind of move tonight right there, Dylan. What happens is, as a driver, you always want to get on the gas pedal as fast as possible out of those corners, right? But as you just heard there on that onboard with Palacio, if you get on the gas too soon out of a corner, you end up looping the car around, and that's how you find those walls. Here's Robert Ridgway. Listen, same thing.
Oh, look.
Oh, no, actually, nope. He just caught the inside curve.
Remember what I said about that corner? You cut two inside, and that happens totally off steering, and we are almost right there, what I was saying about the drivers with attrition. Survive, and you get a top 10, pretty much. You know, Derek, I know you're usually more accurate than I am, but I like to be right sometimes as well.
Yeah, you can be right sometimes. You can find that. I think the attrition is a great comment here for Belle Isle, because it just, you're on the edge. Any street course, honestly, you're just on the edge, so close. Of the difference between being right and being wrong is only less than an inch sometimes of track space. I mean, we've seen it multiple times in real life with these street courses. You know, I was thinking, though, I'm going to throw your second musical reference at you for the night, see if you get this one.
Let's hear it.
With how bumpy this track is, would you call this place Detroit Rock City?
I mean, we are racing on just, you know, crushed up in different versions of rock in itself, right? With concrete, you know?
Do you know who did Detroit Rock City?
No, I don't.
Okay. That would be a small little band made heard of called Kiss.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm a Billy Joel guy first and foremost, and the Who is in that category. Just never really a Kiss guy, to be honest. Producer trying to mess with me right here in the background, asking the Who.
If I said we might be racing somewhere near 8 Mile, would that mean anything to you, or is that?
Yes, that would
okay.
I would
Okay,
understand
so.
the reference to Eminem.
I prefer Peanut.
Oh, San
no,
Diego, a third mistake. What a hard race for San Diego. Remember, we talked about it being, you know, fast drivers, and he was right up there as the fastest driver in this race, but he kept making mistakes. So
Let's see what's going to happen to him here. Going to come through this corner. He hit the wall there before. Oh, hold on. He actually hit the wall a little bit before the corner there, and I think just lost it. Just had a hard time there. That will end his race. San Diego came into tonight P3 in points ahead of Connor Wagner and Mackenzie Roon. So San Diego, I don't know. Let's watch this again.
And San Diego already had a 24-point race that is currently serving as his drop week, so there's definitely a chance that he's going to
have to count these points right here.
Right. Either count these points or, you know, count those 24 points earlier. as we see more cars slowing down here as this race continues to go. David Holland, though, is running fast. Here's a replay of, I believe this is Holland's, and wow, good save of Holland. Oh my goodness,
that was scary. Got in there a little too late on the braking. That's why the car wiggled as he stabbed the brakes really hard.
So I was gonna say, David Holland, he is probably the one that needs the most luck of all at this point. And I think that wasn't just luck, that was skill to keep that car out of the tire barrier. Think about it this way. He has a did not start last week. That means that he's going to score whatever points he gets from this race. That was his drop week, his 0-point affair. I mean, that could have mattered and could still matter in a big way, especially with Seitz being in second.
Yeah, that'll spook you a little bit when that happens. It'll make you more cautious the next time you come back around here. We are 3 to go, by the way. We've had an amazing race here. We've been kind of having fun with the musical references and talking about Thanksgiving food, but David Holland has to be thankful for the fact that he still has a 6+ second lead after that scary moment there about a lap ago.
I know what he's going to be saying he's thankful for in the off week, the American Thanksgiving off week. Greg Seitz, we have talked about him a little bit in this one, but so often, as is the case this season and overall, I mean, Seitz is second all time in wins, but he's also had 6 top 5s, 0 wins this season as a whole. It looks like that's going to continue. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. The inverse of that is the typical statement, but you know, Seitz being in second in this race, second in the standings, second in the most wins all time, and who is above is David Holland in all of those categories. So, I mean, hey, stranger things can happen, but Holland getting the bonus points from this round and getting this win. It was already a 16-point difference, and if Holland is able to hold on here, it will be an even larger difference. That's going to be very hard to come back from unless Holland makes a mistake that ends his race in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and that track will be Watkins Glen, where, listen, mistakes are possible, and you know, it'll be a fun track to watch them go through the boot. We saw the Formula D cars do it a couple weeks ago, so anything is possible. That gap will be doable, assuming things stay the same as they are. But listen to J.R. Williams here, and look at him here, doing a great job, still leading. McKenzie, hold on.
Oh, why'd you say that, Derek? Why?
Oh, no, JR, keeping it. Well, it's doing a great job of holding off Mackenzie Roon. Got in the wall, but has kept it moving here with 2 to go and still has that lead over Mackenzie Roon. Watch Mackenzie trying to get around him. I mean, he's looking at every possible. That's why he got wide there out of the corner.
Mackenzie Roon smelling blood in the water with J.R. Williams. As 1 lap to go is what we're getting. The white flag in the air. This is a big battle for the final spot on the podium. It's the closest on-track battle that we've got. And it's been fun. It's been exciting. Big run coming out of turn 2 there. This run to turn 3, it's the longest singular straightaway on track. A little bit out in front is Roon. They're going to go through this corner side by side. And Williams goes into the wall. Some damage for sure. Oh. And a rejoin right in front of some lap traffic. Alex Court, 2.5 away. Could Court pass Williams as well? That is certainly a shame for JR. It came right after you were saying, Eric, the jinx.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. J.R. Williams has had such a hard season, and I feel so bad for him, man. He's had a rough season full of incidents like that. Oh, there's another car on the wall.
That was David Holland. That was David Holland in the wall. So, goodness me, he almost just threw it away with a few corners to go. He still has to negotiate 1 more corner, but I think he knows it's over now. He's got it. That was scary. Holland wins it in dominant fashion. Greg Seitz still 9 seconds away from finishing this race in second. But oh boy, it was man and machine versus track today.
Yeah, I think these drivers proved just how close this back can be. Watch this battle here. This is Williams.
Oh, for the last, or for 4th place, it was a 13,000th of a second pass that Court got Williams with. Oh,
that's impressive. It's unfortunate for J.R. Williams, but an impressive battle there at the end. Man, what a race this has been, and how this track has proven to be the ultimate villain tonight against all these drivers.
You're not kidding. Wow. That was a wild look. A few more drivers still to finish out their races here. But, well, for Holland, that's more points in the bag and his championship advantage over Greg Seitz. And, he'll at least have that 20-plus buffer that he was looking for going into the final race of Season 4's Formula C Championship in the Precision Racing League. Seitz, of course, second. San Diego is going to fall back a lot of points and positions as we get the final results here from Belle Isle and Detroit, with Holland and Delta Sport winning the race. 9.5-second gap to Greg Seitz for Rust Racing Iron. Mackenzie Roon gets a podium spot in that 91 machine, and Alex Court and J.R. Williams round out the top 5. That was a 13,000-second battle at the end of it between Court and Williams. Stephen Ritters, Tommy Brisson, your runners in 6th and 7th. Broomhead, Swindells, and Carter, your top 10. Carter finishing 1 lap down. Everyone else had major problems in this race. Barton, San Diego, 3 laps down. Robert Ridgway, Julio Palacio, 5 down. Blake Ziti, 8, and then we got double-digit laps downs. Leong, Thurman, Dazube, Lowe, Dubé, and, of course, Kolsar finishing way back in the pack. But as we wait for some of the drivers to be ready for some interviews, Derek, I feel like at the end of the day, that was just such a wild way to get it going. David Holland has showed up. I'll take him, and we'll send it down to you afterwards for 2nd and 3rd. But join alongside race winner David Holland, who had some scares in the last few laps there. Was it just a lack of concentration after having such a big lead, or was it something worse or scarier?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little bit of all of the above. And I was kind of just getting a little bit more confident, started feeling good, started getting in the groove, and I don't know. I felt like it would stick in places that it was not sticking. But yeah, luckily I was able to bring it home. It's too bad for Kevin there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It looks like he kind of had some bad luck. But was looking forward to a good battle with him. He was super fast.
Yeah, Kevin had 3 separate incidents, and every time it brought him down to pit road with damage. So unfortunate for Kevin. He'll definitely lose 3rd in the championship standings. But for you, it's a bigger advantage that you'll have over Greg Seitz, who overcame some difficulties from your competitors to finish in 2nd. You'll most likely go into the final race with at least a 20-point margin. What are you looking at in that final race? Can't drop that race. So is it just survive? Do you have a certain goal in mind? Obviously you want to win, but what do you feel like you'll be happy with? Top 5, top 10?
Yeah, the gap is going to be such that if something happens and I don't finish, Greg could definitely take it. So I'll have to be careful there as well. But I don't know, the racer in me, once I get in a good hard battle, you never know what's going to happen. I'm probably just going to race it like I always do, but I definitely need to keep that in the back of my mind, though.
All right, and here's a fun one for you. What's your favorite side dish at Thanksgiving? We were arguing about this.
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm gonna have to go with stuffing. Can never get enough stuffing.
We got another victory for stuffing. All right, David, congratulations on the win. Have a wonderful off weekend with Thanksgiving.
All right, thanks. You as well. See you.
All right, and Derek, I'll give it to you with Mackenzie Roon, the 3rd place finisher, and also stuffing. Yeah, there's another one for the team.
Well, finishing tonight in P3 is Mackenzie Roon. Mackenzie, what an amazing race, and it felt like, honestly, you were more so racing against the track than other competitors tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough circuit. That's really what you're doing, especially felt like the last 10, 15 laps I was racing against my tire degradation. But, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Williams, JR, I mean, it felt like we were battling the whole race. Not a lot of overtaken spots, so I kept trying to squeak my nose in there, but I think the last lap finally paid off. I I haven't got a chance to watch the replay. I just hope I left him room. I think he got a little loose there when we went 2x2.
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, for a lot of the night, you spent your time almost being the meat in an SRTE blue sandwich. But a really great run tonight. Well, we get next week off, of course, and in 2 weeks we come back for the season finale at the boot version of Watkins Glen. What are your opinions and thoughts on that track before we head into it?
I mean, absolutely amazing track, especially with this car. That's going to be a blast. I think it'll shake things up because really anybody can take the lead on that track. It's just truly a driver's track, so I'm really looking forward to it. And before I forget, just huge shout out to Delta Sport. Kevin, a huge apology about that incident. I haven't had a chance to watch yet. It just all happened fast, so I have to apologize to Kevin about that.
Yeah, I think when you walk back, I don't think you're going to have anything to apologize for. It looked like he just got a little loose, but I appreciate the respect and such regardless. Well, listen, we were having a conversation in the booth as the race was going on, talking about, of course, food and Thanksgiving next week. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
I mean, it has to be stuffing. As long as it's the right crisp, it's always
Mackenzie.
stuffing. That's all I can
Mackenzie.
eat. I would be happy with just that.
Mackenzie, what about deviled eggs? Can I just ask you, what about deviled eggs?
So I recently found deviled eggs with like a little bit of like charred brisket on top, and that's my kind of deviled egg. Otherwise, I'm not really about it.
All right, well,
You've
I would
disappointed
I would have said good job tonight, but you besmirched the good name of deviled eggs, and I'm not sure how happy I can be that you besmirched the good name.
Hey, well,
Deviled egg.
I'll have one next weekend, and I'll think of you.
That's all I can ask for. Well, listen, great job tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, well, there is Mackenzie Roon. He finished P3 tonight, and Dylan, like I said, more so than racing your competitors, this was like man versus track.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it was here, and I'm just happy that I had the comeback of the century against you and producer Dustin when it came to getting stuffing to go to the top of the charts here. We're not going to be able to talk to Greg, but I'm sure he's both happy and a little bit disappointed about not being able to cut back on that lead that Holland has in his championship fight so far.
I really thought you were going to say, but for sure, Greg Seitz would pick stuffing as well. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I should have. Oh man, coulda, shoulda. But we still have some more racing action. There is no next week Formula D or Formula C combative moment. Silverstone is Formula D. That's that 8:30 p.m. Eastern, November 30th, the last day of November, the last Thursday of the month. We've got American Thanksgiving next week. Of course, we've got Watkins Glen, the Formula C finale. What a track to have it on, as Mackenzie said. And I just think that's a perfect place to end Precision Racing League action in 2023. But Derek, just a wonderful time here, and as we move into Thanksgiving, I think both you and I will say we're thankful for you tuning in to RaceSpotTV and enjoying sometimes our wonderful voices, our wonderful bickering, our technical issues, but most of all, our enjoyment and passion for the world of virtual motorsport. For myself, Derek Watson, Dustin Ollis, and everyone else at RaceSpotTV and Precision Racing League, we wish you all a pleasant good evening, good night, and good racing.